I think business definitely shaped me not only in doing business but as a person. Success has never been a place of arrival for me. It's a journey. As long as you believe that you can do it, you can set your mind to anything and you can do it.
Yeah. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Buzzing Podcast. So excited to have Roché du Venage with us, a wife, a mother, a friend, and a woman in business. Roché, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi Desley, thanks so much for having me. It's really fun being here. And just to sum it up, you basically said it all. I'm a woman, firstly. That's what I was first.
Yeah.
And then I became a wife and a businesswoman and a mother. And sometimes I turn a bit robot when you get to work and you just get into everything and so on. And then mostly my husband would say I'm also Google because he thinks that I know everything. So, yeah, but
You should say so.
Yeah, so we just stick to the basics. But Google is apparently something that's pushed into that. So.
Yeah, that's great. So tell us a little bit about, you mentioned your husband says that, and so obviously it's an important aspect for you and your husband and business together. And I mean, about this podcast is also how we got to this point. So tell us a little bit, how did you guys start together? How did you get into business? What was that magical thing that said, we are going to start our own thing?
Sure, I think that's, everyone have their own story in that, obviously. But with us, it kind of just found us. I think you think most people go out to say, let's start a business, but that's actually not our story.
Yeah.
So we started off as like, he came to Pretoria at that stage to be with me. Started working for my dad for like a 4,000 Rand salary.
Wow.
And I was just like, okay, we need to build on that at the end of the day. And he just started doing some side work and I helped him on the side apart from being employed at that stage.
Yes.
And it kind of just rolled one thing into the next. At the end of the day, I left my job and I started helping him full time.
Wow.
So I don't think that you'd start with like a fresh company, start from scratch and thinking, okay, cool, we're gonna start this and this is where we're going. And actually, we just kind of moved into this whole thing. It was never like planned.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, that's amazing. So I know like a lot of women doesn't necessarily go into business with their husbands, right? And it's not always the first idea. So a lot of women does want to find their own identity and they want to still have their own permanent jobs and everything. But somewhere inside of you, there needed to be an entrepreneurial spirit, right? And you mentioned about your father having his own business. So for you, as the woman, like, where did the journey start for you to say that someday I'm going to find myself as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think growing up in a stable home with parents as entrepreneurs, it kind of was expected that I'd go that way.
Yes.
It actually wasn't the path that I was going for. I actually wanted to study musical theatre after school. But unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. Sometimes you think that, like, I worked very hard in school trying to get distinctions in all of my subjects. And I that was my target, is to get the best grades and being able to move forward from then and study. And that was actually my downfall.
Yeah.
You would think that working hard there would get you in easily, but that's the place that most people questioned me.
Yeah.
Saying like, why do you want to study musical theatre if you have all these distinctions on your matric certificate? And you can go do medicine, you can become an engineer, you can do all these things. And I was just like, but that's not what I want to do at the end of the day. So we kind of moved on from there, and I just moved into having to do my own company. He needed me at that stage to help him in the administrative part of it. And I think one of the first scriptures I learned as a child was, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's what I focused on. I never believed that there's anything that I cannot do.
Yeah. Wow.
So as long as you believe that you can do it, you can set your mind to anything and you can do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's such an important aspect about business, right? And business owners, because if you really get to a point where you don't believe you can do it, you're probably not going to be able to do it. So it's really being able to motivate yourself in terms of that as well, to say, tomorrow morning I'm going to stand up no matter how tough it was, and I'm going to move forward. And so that's amazing. And I mean, you mentioned about you had to pivot, right? You were studying something, and that's actually what you wanted to do is not something that you are doing today.
Yeah.
But if you reflect back, being somebody in grade 12, waiting for what's going to happen after school, do you regret going into business, or do you feel it's part of who you are and it is definitely something that had to happen?
No, I think that obviously it worked out as it should have. I think if you look back, there's things that you do differently always. But knowing that where you are now is because of what you did.
Exactly.
And trying to go back and change it, that's not going to help at the end of the day. So I think it's very important to not only just look at where you are now, but where you came from, and understand that the decisions that you made pushed you to where you are now. And I would never say that I wouldn't have done it the same that I did. I know that it worked out as it should. I think there's always going to be a few things along the way that you think maybe, sure, I could have done that differently. And like I actually started studying business management.
Wow.
And I did it for 1 year and I was like, no, this isn't for me. I'm not going to do this. And I was like, if I knew then what I know now, I might have just finished it.
Exactly.
So I think there's always things you're going to look back to and say, maybe I should have finished it. But then at the end of the day, I would have had book knowledge. And what I have today is experience.
Exactly.
So I think that's more important than having the book knowledge, because if you learn from your mistakes, then it just stays so much longer.
And you can't study that somewhere. No. You can't study experience. So that's not amazing. And so how important is passion for business?
I think passion isn't something that you're necessarily going to start off with. I think passion grows. When we first started off in the industry that we're in, we didn't think that we would get passionate about it. I think you kind of think like we do garage doors, and it's like, how can you be passionate about garage doors? I mean, like, that thing opens and closes. And like, just as we moved forward, we started getting passionate about it. And it pushed us to a place where we had to invest everything into it. And that is where you see the growth. That is when you put everything into it, your time, your love, your passion, your everything into it, and then you see the growth. If you think about a plant, it's not going to grow if you just let it stand there in the corner. You're going to have to look after it. You're going to give it water. And even I believe that you do need to speak to your plants as well. Because that love is going to go in, man. So,
somebody else taught me to speak to my plant as well, but it didn't really help. So hopefully on the next one. That's why I started buying artificial plants.
I know. You could rather just get artificial ones and do business. If you do that well.
So, and it's amazing what you're saying. So I just want to find out, like, how did business form you as a woman, and how did business form you as Roché, where you are today?
Wow. I think if you allow business to, I would say, chisel you, it will.
Definitely.
And it's definitely not easy. But I think business definitely shaped me, not only in doing business, but as a person. I think if I'm looking back at where we started off, there was a lot of things that I was like super sensitive about. And I had this one situation with a client where he phoned me and he was talking to me about his garage door. And I was like trying to explain to him what I'm talking about. And he got so angry with me because I'm a woman in the construction industry. So what do you know? I mean, like, and I took it very personally at first. And then as I grew, well, firstly, I said I would never feel that way ever again. Like, I taught myself, I even went to site and did installations with Martin. I learned how to connect the motors and how to set them in, because I never wanted to feel unequipped ever in my life again. So that forced me to get myself educated, firstly. And secondly, getting back to a point where you get factual about things. Business isn't an emotional thing. Obviously, there's emotions connected, but business is facts. And if you stick to the facts, you will get very far in business. But if you start to get emotional and start taking things personally, then at the end of the day, you're going to get stuck at a place of shame, Armaak.
Exactly.
And you don't want to go there. So to keep it factual, and if you do get difficult clients, focus on the facts.
Yes.
What is the facts here? What is the rules that I've set in my company? And that, at the end of the day, helps you to grow as the person, because you're not looking at shame, I'm feeling so bad about myself, and you start to build a confidence and confidence in the education that you got for yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think we sometimes underestimate how much business forms as a person, right? And how much it's contributing. And I think it comes down to the point where you understand that it's a passion, right? Like you're saying, and it's forming your passion. It doesn't necessarily always start off with a passion, but the more you understand that I need to put my whole life into this, then it starts forming you as a person. And you need to allow that the business at the end of the day also shapes you a little bit. And I think there's so much lessons to take out of that. But yeah, such a great summary that you mentioned. So here's the one thing that we ask everyone that comes here. What does success mean to you?
I really thought a lot about this question might be coming up. So, I think success has never been a place of arrival for me. It's a journey.
Yeah. Wow.
And I see success in 3 parts, and those 3 parts are past, present, and future.
Yes.
So if you look at the past, you're looking back at where did I come from, how did I grow in the past up until now, and then in the present, looking at what can I be thankful for now, because sometimes we get so stuck in trying to reach the future, which I'm coming to now. That we forget to be present, to just be here and say, what do I have now? What have I achieved now? And what is there to be thankful now?
Yes.
And then moving forward to future is just never giving up. Because you're never going to reach the point, as an entrepreneur, you're never going to reach the point at where you're going to be satisfied, because you will always be raising the bar for yourself. So as soon as you reach that place, then you're going to raise the bar, and you're just going to want to go higher and higher at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And I think, like you're saying, it's always, moving that bar up. You want to move forward. And I think a very important understanding for me was also understanding that purpose isn't always just something that you reach when you're 60 or 65 years old, but it's really a thing that you have to live out on a daily basis. And I think that's what you're coming down to with success. Also, it's a continuous basis, and it's not something that you achieve when you're 70 years old or 75 years old. It's something that you on a daily basis need focus on, and you need to your life needs to be fulfilled on a daily basis. So it's so amazing. So before we go on to our next episode, and I'm getting your husband onto the podcast as well, I want to find out from you then, in terms of you working with your husband, right? What was that transition that you had to make, like mentally and emotionally, to say, we're going to make this work, knowing that you have to submit under him in the business as well?
Sure, that's a difficult one. I must say that was a very big challenge for me at first. Like, me and my husband are both very strong personalities. So there was a lot of bumping of heads and fights in the beginning. And I think we did grow in that part. Obviously, there's always going to be fights and disagreements. But we did actually start to divide the company into different sections, which we would say, okay, the technical part of it all, that's his part, on site, handling the clients on site, and then coming to the office, that's my part. So allowing each other to make decisions in their departments. Then to remember when you go home at the end of the day that now I'm not the manager anymore. And say, okay, let's hear what you have to say, and submitting at that. I think that it was and is still a daily challenge. And I think switching from, we didn't say personalities, but maybe switching from masks. Saying that I'm putting on my wife mask now, or I'm putting on my mother mask, and switching from that helped me to just visualize that as in, I'm now going to have to be a wife. I'm now going to have to stick to what he's feeling. And I think just getting that part visual helped me to do business with him and still be his wife.
Great stuff. So just last thing, Ryan. What makes you stand up every single morning?
Well, good music, definitely. I think there's a lot of times when you stand up in the morning, well, especially when that alarm clock goes off and you're just like, oh, it feels like somebody's sitting on me. But I think just getting up and just making that decision. I don't think there's a specific thing that motivates me. I would just say the decision to stand up. That's what gets you up in the morning, deciding that today is going to be a good day, and a lot of positive mindset, because it actually all starts there. Having a positive mindset, standing up and deciding this is going to be a good day. And despite the first thing that comes your way, usually that morning would be something that's horrible. But then just like to push that aside and say, I have a positive mindset and this is what's going to keep me going. I'm doing this for not only for me, but for my husband, for my children, and for the people in your company as well, because those people become a part of your family. You take them under your wing as soon as they start coming. So I think for the people at the end of the day is what we come back to.
Amazing. Great speaking with you, and looking forward for the next episode with Roché and her husband. Stay tuned for our next episode.